Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good evening, my dear students, grade 12 students in your SAAT course. This is your session and the last session, inshallah, in geometry. The last session in geometry. Inshallah, in the next session will be a small exam at the beginning of the session. Tomorrow, inshallah, we have an exam, inshallah, in the second part of the session. So the first part, inshallah, will complete what we started, and inshallah, we'll start after geometry, we'll start trigonometry, and try to finish it, inshallah, by the end of this week. Okay. So tomorrow, inshallah, we will make a small exam for the geometry. It's about 15 minutes. 15 minutes, 10 problems. 15 minutes, inshallah. We'll start the second part by this exam. Okay, and then we try to solve it together. Today, inshallah, we'll finish our geometry course. We started in the last session talking about the conic sections, and we finished talking about parabola, ellipse, and the special case of ellipse, which is the circle. Today, inshallah, we'll talk about the hyperbola. Today, inshallah, we'll talk about the high parabola. In the high parabola, we will go by the same system. What is the system? We'll talk, Mister, about horizontal and vertical hyperbola. First high parabola. If we talk about high parabola, we will talk about two curves. If we have x and y, so we'll have two curves. It means curve here and a reflection for this curve. This is called the hyperbola. This is called the high parabola. It may be vertical, as you see, or horizontal. Maybe vertical or horizontal. This is vertical, and in the other part, if we have like this, and we have at the right, at the left, it's horizontal. So the vertical parabola and the horizontal parabola will start by the standard equation or the general equation. If we talk about the general equation, first we will talk about the horizontal. If we talk about the horizontal parabola, Mister, what is the equation of the horizontal parabola? The equation of the horizontal parabola is x minus h whole power 2 over a squared minus y minus k all power 2 over b power 2 equals to 1. Mister, it's the same to the equation of the ellipse. It's the same, without any difference. No, we have a small difference. What is the difference? The middle sign. The middle sign here is minus, as you see, but in the ellipse, it was plus. So the first, how we can differentiate between the high parabola and ellipse. In the ellipse, we have the middle sign is positive, but here it's negative. This is number one. Number two, in the ellipse, A is always greater than B. A represent always the big number. But here, A is always the first number, even if it's the greater number or the smaller number. It means, Mister, we go by the order A is in B, yes. So in the high parabola, the middle sign is negative, and you go by the order. The order is what? A is in B. A is in B. Even A is a big number or B is a small number. So, Mister, how we can indicate it's horizontal or vertical? If we have to start by x, it means the value of x minus h all power 2 over a power 2 is positive value, and the value of y is negative because we have here a negative sign. You will start by x and y is negative, so it's horizontal. The opposite is vertical. Okay, we will going to go to the vertex. What is the vertex? The vertex B will be H and K as the previous. So the vertex is H and K. The vertex is H and K. And we said the vertex, we change it to be the center because we have V1 and V2. We'll talk about this after that. So instead of the vertex, we name it in the vertex in the parabola, but in the ellipse, we name it by the center and also in the circle. So our center will be H and K. Mister, what about the vertices V1 and V2? V1 and V2. V1 and V2 are two numbers. When we work horizontally, we will keep K as it is and change X. Mister, how you change X? I'll change the value of the first coordinate plane, which is X, by changing H plus or minus A. So plus or minus A. What about Mr.? What about Mr. If we talk about the focus points, means the foci. We have two foci, focus 1, focus 2. So Mr. It will be K as a constant and H will be added or subtracted to C. Okay. In the previous conic section, the ellipse, we talk about the major axis and the minor axis. It's the same here, but the major axis is called the transverse axis, and the minor axis, it's called conjugate axis. So we have the transverse axis here. It's opposite to the major axis, the same. And the conjugate, it's opposite or the same to the minor axis. In the major axis, or the transverse axis, in the horizontal will be y equal k. And what about the conjugate? X equal h. Okay, so this is the features, Mister. But in the ellipse, we talk about co-vertex. Here we don't have co-vertex because the ellipse is closed. So we have vertex, and the two vertex point will be in the major axis, and the co-vertex, which is in the minor axis. But here we don't have a closed shape. As we said, it's a curve and it's reflection. So we don't have a co-vertex here. But we have a new feature which is called the asymptotes, or the line of the asymptotes. What is the asymptotes or the line of the asymptotes? This line are two imaginary lines that we can't intersect by the curves. As you see, you have two imaginary line or two dashed line like this. These are called the asymptotes for the curve. Asymptotes, it means the curve is very near or tend or approaches these lines, but don't intersect it. Very near, but don't intersect it. So the asymptotes, and as you see, the asymptotes is two straight lines. So how we can get the equation of the asymptote? The equation of asymptote, it means an equation of the straight line, or a straight line equation. In the case of horizontal, will be y minus k equals positive or negative b over a x minus h. As you see, it's a linear equation. As you remember with me, the linear equation has two forms. One of the forms is called the, yes, point slope form. It was y minus y1 equal mx minus x1. It's the same. If you compare this by this, it's the same. Y minus k, it means y minus y1. It means the value of y. And we have here equal positive or negative b over a. It means the coefficient here a, and the coefficient b, it means we have the slope. And then after that, x minus h, it's the same. So this is the equation of the asymptote. In the case of what? In the case of the horizontal. And as we said, it's an equation of a straight line, and it's like a point slope 4. A point slope 4. We're going to express together the vertical. In the vertical, in the vertical, in the vertical hyperbola, we have the equation. You said, Mister, if you start by x, it's horizontal. So if you start by y, it's a vertical. Y minus k all power 2 over a power 2. We don't change the sign of a, or we don't change the place of a, minus x minus h all power 2 over b power 2 equals to 1. As we said, 1 is constant even in ellipse or in hyperbola. Mister, the center or the vertex, we have the center here is h and k. What about the two foci? The two foci are 2 points, and here in the shape of the vertical, we make h as a constant and go to k and add or subtract a. What about Mr. the foci? The foci, we make h constant and add or subtract the value of c. Mister, what about the transverse axis? The transverse axis, it's like the major axis, so it will be x equal h. What about Mister the conjugate axis? Conjugate axis, it's like the minor axis for the vertical ellipse, which is called y minus k. There is no change between the major and the minor in the ellipse and here in the hyperbola. It's the same. Mister, the asymptote equation, it's y minus k, positive or negative, a over b. Mister, it's b over a here. Yes, so I flip it. It's a over b in the in the case of vertical, and x minus h as the same. This is the two features for vertical and horizontal. The differences between a hyperbola and ellipse are: first, the middle sign; second, the value of a and the value of b. In the ellipse, the value of a is always the largest number or the greater number, and b is the smaller one. Okay, but here it's depend on the order a and then b. And the last requirement, to get c in the ellipse, it will be the square root of a squared minus b squared. But here it's a squared plus b squared. So again, if you need to find the value of c, the value of c in the ellipse, it was a squared minus b squared under the square root. But here the square root of the addition of the squares, not subtraction. Okay, this is the first point. The second point is talking about the eccentricity. Mister, we talk about the eccentricity in the ellipse, and we knew that the eccentricity is included between 0 and 1. If the eccentricity is 0, the conic section turns to be a circle, But here, the eccentricity will be C over A. It's the same. C over A is the same rule. But the eccentricity in the hyperbola is always greater than 1. It's always greater than or more than 1. So the eccentricity is more than 1. So, Mister, that indicates that we have a parabola, a hyperbola? Yes. So if the eccentricity is greater than 1, so you have a high parabola. If it's included between 0 and 1, it's an ellipse. If it is exactly equals to 0, so you have a circle. This is the point of eccentricity. What is the last point in the lesson, and very, very, very important? Classification the conic section by using the discriminant. Mr. The discriminant, this discriminant, we use it in algebra. We use it in algebra in the general rule or the general formula. And it was b squared minus 4ac. Yes, of course. So the discriminant is denoted by, or what is a discriminant? It's a b squared minus 4ac. طب, where is? A is what? A is the coefficient of x squared. Pay attention about this, please. B is the coefficient of xy, and c is the coefficient of y squared. So the discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. This is a discriminant. We use the discriminant to know or to classify the type or the kind of the conic section. What is A, mister? The coefficient of x squared. What's B? The coefficient of xy. What's C? The coefficient of y squared. If he give me any equation, and this equation in the general form, and he ask me to classify this conic section. We have 4 conic sections. Top. First, if you get the value of the discriminant, and this value of the discriminant is a positive number. So we calculate b squared minus 4ac and we find a positive number. If you find a positive number, so it will be hyperbole. So the conic section will be a hyperbole if it's a positive. Okay, mister. Top number 2. If it's equal to 0, mister, so the discriminant, we get the value for the discriminant and it's equal to 0. So it will be parabolic. It will be parabolic. So, mister, if the conic section we get or we have, its a discriminant is positive, so it's a hyperbole. It's equal to 0, so it's a parabolic. Okay. The third case, if the discriminant is equal to negative number, you count or you calculate and you get it's negative. It's negative, you have 2 conditions. It may be ellipse, okay? It may be ellipse and may be circle. But when it may be ellipse and when it will be circle, it may be ellipse if the value of A. So you first, you get the discriminant and the discriminant equal to 0. So after that, we're going to another stage. What is the second stage? I get the value of A and the value of C. If the value of A not equal to the value of C, or the value of B not equal to 0. One of these conditions, if it's satisfied, it's ellipse. Of course, in the circle, you have the 2 conditions. The 2 conditions are satisfied. يبقى هنا only one condition satisfied. Or the 2 conditions. Okay, but it's the required is only one. Okay, it may be the first one satisfied, the second one satisfied, or satisfied together. Okay, but in the circle, the both are satisfied. The value of A equals to the value of C, and the value of B, it means the coefficient of xy, the coefficient of xy will be equal to 0. So he will give you a second degree equation, and he asks you about the type of the conic section. If you have a problem like this, you just get the coefficient of x squared, coefficient of y squared, coefficient of xy, and get the value of the discriminant, and we can classify the kind according to this value. We going to the problems, and after we get to the problems, everything inshallah will be clear. Okay, we going to the problems. First, we will talk about the first problem. In the first problem, we will say that the center of a hyperbola whose equation is x plus 1 all power 2 over 9 minus y minus 3 all power 2 over 16 is equal to 1 is, as we said, the center is the value of h and k. But what is the value of h here and the value of k from the equation? Huh? Who can answer? Who can get the center? Who can get h and k? Yes. H is what? H is -1. And what about k? K is equal to 3. Excellent. So you must change the sign. Don't forget about this. So -1 and 3. -1 and 3. I get the value of h and the value of k. Why, mister? Because he asked me about the center. Mister, it can be a problem in the exam. Wallah, it can be an item for the exam. So it's very easy as you see, but just you must change the sign, must change the sign. So it's letter A. It's letter A. So the answer here is letter A. You ask me about the center, I get the center H and K, and I get the value. We're going to number 2. Number 2, find the length of, the length of the conjugate axis. Mister, you said that the conjugate axis, it's like the minor axis in the ellipse. And the length of the minor axis was what? Huh? Was what? Excellent. It's 2b. So 2b. So I get the value of b and multiply it by 2. I get the value of b and multiply it by 2. But what is the value of b? What is the value of b? Mister, you said in the equation, as we have the equation, we go by the order. It means the first number is a and the second number is b. So we have here b squared equal to 16. It means, Mr. b equals to 4. It means, Mr. the length of the conjugate axis equal to b. It means equal 2 times 4 equals to 8. So this is the answer, which is letter D. The length of the conjugate axis is the length of the minor axis in the ellipse. I need to relate the problems to the conic sections together. As you see, I'm talking about the ellipse, and I can relate it with the hyper. We're going to number 3. The length of the transverse axis. Okay, mister, the length of the transverse axis, it means the length of the major axis. The length of the major axis is 2a by the same method. We're going to the equation. Mister, the first number is a and the second number is b. Don't forget it's a squared. So a squared equal to 49. So a equals to 7. So yes, the length of the transverse axis is 2 times 7. It's equal to 14. So the result will be letter B. We talk about the length of the minor, the length of the major, and now we talk about the length of the conjugate and the length of the transverse. Okay, we are going to number 4. In number 4, the equation, and they give me an equation like this. Represent what? Oh, we will use, Mr. the discriminant. We will use the discriminant. Okay, we'll use the discriminant. To use the discriminant, Mr., we have to get the value of A, which is the coefficient of x squared, the value of b, which is the coefficient of xy, the value of c, which is the coefficient of y squared. The coefficient of x squared here, mister, we don't have x squared. So the coefficient of x squared is 0. I need to find b. B, mister, is the coefficient of xy. I don't have xy, mister. I don't have xy. So it's equal to 0 also. We're going to see. See, Mr. the coefficient of y squared. Y squared, its coefficient, excellent. It's 1. So I have only y squared. So it's 1y squared. Plus 4y plus x plus 2 equals to 0. Now, Mr., you get the value of A, the value of B, the value of C. I'm going to get the discriminant. So our discriminant will be, I remember the rule, b squared minus 4ac. Okay, mister, it's b squared, it means 0 squared minus 4 multiplied by 0 multiplied by 1. Any number multiplied by 0 is 0, it means 0 minus 0 So the result will be 0. Remember with me, if the discriminant, Mr., is 0, so our ellipse, sorry, our conic section will be, yes, excellent. It's a parabola. It's a parabola. Okay, so by using the discriminant, just a small calculation and you get the result. Just a small calculation and you get the result. As you see, the problems coming as a direct problems, and you find like this in the exam, but just you know the rule. If you don't know the rule of the discriminant, it's very hard. It's very hard. But just I have a small remark to my dear students. Pay attention. If you look to the equation and you find only x or only y has power 2, so it's a parabola direct. Mister, I didn't use the discriminant. It's better to not use the discriminant in this case. It's more faster. Pay attention. I'm looking to the equation. Mister, the equation, I have y squared. I don't have x squared. I don't have x squared. I have only y squared. I have only y squared. If you have only y squared, so it's a parabola. So it's a parabola. I give you another detail. I give you another detail. Y squared. So it's a horizontal parabola. It's a horizontal parabola. As you remember with me, recall the equation of the parabola. So y squared, it's a horizontal parabola. If you have only x squared, so it's a parabola. It's a vertical parabola. Vertical parabola. In the case of you having x squared only or y squared only in the equation, it's better. It's faster to write parabola directly. طب we use the discriminant. We can use the discriminant. You can use the discriminant. The discriminant you can use anywhere. Okay, in any equation. But this is a special case as you see. This is a special case as you see. This answer of number 4. This answer of number 4. This answer of number 4. I'm going to one of the problems down, which is number 9, and I return back because we know we talk about the same rule. We talk about the same rule. The rule of what? Discriminant, Mister. The equation, and he give me it's a big equation. Represent what? Mister, by the discriminant. Why? Because I have x squared and y squared. So no need to use the quick method. We must use the discriminant. So we have here a equals 3. B equals xy is equal to 2. Yes. Pay attention about the sign, please. The sign, please. C equal A. We have to write 5. Wrong. I just said, pay attention about the sign. The sign. Wallahi, if you don't attention about the sign, it's a big problem. So you must write here negative. Why, Mister? Because it's a negative y 5y squared. So pay attention about the signs. Okay, we're going, Mister, to get the discriminant now. So will be our discriminant will be b squared minus 4ac. It means equal 4, Mister. Minus 4 multiplied by negative 5 multiplied by 3. Calculate with me, please. Calculate with me, please. So, Mister, it will be 4. It's negative here, and the negative times negative, it's a positive. So, no need to complete. Because you have here a positive number. You will add to 4 becomes a positive. So, no need to calculate. But we'll calculate. It will be 5 times 4 equal 20. 20 times 3 is 60. So, Mister, it's equal to 4. 4 plus 60 equals 64. 64 is what? Is positive. Okay, when we have a positive, it's high parabola. Excellent. High parabola. Excellent. So it's a very, very important type or kind of problems. As you see, it's very easy. Just write the rule, substitute, calculation. We return back to number 5. We return back to number 5. We return back to number 5 directly. Number 5. What is the answer of number 5? Let's check. The curve. And he gave me the curve. x over 4 all power 2 plus y over 5 all power 2 equals to 1 represent a hyperbola. Okay. What is the equation of the two asymptote of this equation? So I have to get the equation of the asymptote line. The equation of the asymptote line. Okay. طب the equation of the asymptote line, Mr. First. It's a horizontal parabola, high parabola, sorry, or a vertical hyperbola. Mister, when we start by x, it's horizontal. Yes, excellent. So it's horizontal from the beginning. Horizontal from the beginning, so the equation of the asymptote will be, yes, y minus k equal positive or negative, what over what? Excellent. It's b over a. In the in the case of vertical, it will be a over b. This is the difference. X minus h. Okay, Mister. So I need to find the value of k, the value of a, the value of b, the value of h. I will start with me. What is the value of h and k? Hk equals to what? Hk in this equation equals to what? Mister, I recall the original equation. Okay, I recall it with you. So x minus h all power 2 over a power 2 minus y minus k all power 2 over b power 2 equals to 1. X minus h. I have only x. I don't have any minus. So h is equal to 0. What about y also? K is equal to 0. So h and k are equal to zeros. So instead of k, I write here 0. And instead of h, I write here 0. Okay. What about a and b? What about a and b? What about the value of a? What about the value of a? The value of a is what? The value of a is what? The value of a is 4. Mister, but you said it down, you have a squared. It means this is will be 2 because this is a squared. No, pay attention, the square in the whole fraction. So we have 4 power 2. So this is not 4. This 4 power 2. This power will be distributed on x and on y. Pay attention about this small tricky problem. So, Mister, the value of a here is 4. Some of my dear students, it's a 4, Mister. So I get the square root. So it's a 2 because this is a squared. No, a squared. Yes, I know it's a squared, but it's a 4 power 2 because the power will be distributed up and down. And the value of b also is equal to 5. So, Mister, we can write the equation now. So y minus 0, it means y. Plus or minus b over a. So b over a. And then x minus 0, it means x. This is the equation. So, Mr. Y, positive or negative, 5 over 4x. It means letter B. So pay attention about this, please. Pay attention about this, please. Okay, so letter B. If you ask me about the asymptote, the asymptote, the asymptote, the asymptote or the asymptote line, it means a line that the curve tends to or approaches to, but don't touch, don't intersect. Okay, it's like a boundaries. Okay, for the two curves. Okay, okay, and always denoted by a two dashed line as we see in the graph. We're going to number 6. In number 6, the value of the eccentricity of the high parabola is equal to, oh, the eccentricity. Mr. The eccentricity E equals to C over A. I have the value of A, and the value of A here is what? Who can we send them? Oh, the value of A, the A is the first number. So the value of A, oh, you have here A squared. It's different from the previous. So A squared equals to 9, so A equals to 3. And we're going to get the value of b. b squared is equal to 16, so b equals to 4. I don't have the value of c, but you can find the value of c. And pay attention, I said here, I said here, I said here. It's a plus, not minus. So you have A squared plus B squared, it means 9 and 16. It means Mr. 25. It means Mr. 5. So the value of C is 5, so I just write 5. And the value of A is 3, so I just write 3. So 5 over 3. And as you see, it's greater than 1. It's greater than 1. Okay. We're going to greater than 1. Excellent. So we have some of my dear students get the result, and it's correct. We're going to number 7. In number 7, the length of the transverse axis. The length of the transverse axis. Okay. The length of the transverse axis, Mister, we solve it up. The length of the transverse axis is 2a. So I just write 2a. But where is a? I don't have a here in this equation. Oh, this equation is not in the simplest form. I must put it in the simplest form by only one step. This step. Mister, you said at the beginning of the session, when we talk about the standard form, it must equal to, it must equal to, it must equal to, excellent. It must equal to 1. It must equal to 1. Oh, a tricky problem. A tricky problem. So this is the equation, but this equation, we can't work on it. Why? Because it's not equal to 1, to 1, to 1. Pay attention about this, please. A small details, but it's a big difference. So I must divide here by 144. I must divide here by 144. I must divide here by 144. Why, mister? Because the equation must be equal to 1. If your equation equal to 1, we can work. We can work. Okay, so pay attention. We have here to divide. So you have 144 divided by 9 equal what? 144 divided by 9 equal what? Uh, it's equal to, excellent, it's equal to 16. So x power 2 over 16 minus 144 divided by 16 equal what? Mister, it's equal to 9, the opposite. So y power 2 over 9. Mister, you need to A. Where is A? Mister, I have A squared equal to 16. So A equals to 4. So the result is 8. The result is 8. Oh, mister, it's a tricky problem. It's a tricky problem. So the first step or the first trick here, he give you the equation and you choose 9. Mister, 9 with x, I'm going to write 3. So A is equals 3. So the result will be equals to 6. Wrong. Pay attention about this. Pay attention about this. Mister, to work in high parabola or ellipse, the equation must be equal to 1. How, mister? Divide all the equation by the number after the equal. The number after the equal is 144, so we get the result after that. The value of the eccentricity for the high parabola is always. As you see, it's a rule, and we don't need any calculation. The value of the eccentricity in the high parabola is always greater than 1, as we said. Now I can say that we finished the geometry course. All the geometry lesson, we finished it. As I said, tomorrow, inshallah, in the second part, I start the second part for the session by a small exam. It's about 10 items. It's about only 10 items in 15 minutes. And then after that, the rest of the time, we will correct together after you sending the answers to me till to finish the geometry by a good preparation, and then after that we will complete what we started in the second session today. Inshallah, we'll start in the trigonometry. Just we have about 7 minutes as a break, and then after that we will return back to start the trigonometry curriculum. Thanks and see you.